Hey guys, Wally again with another segment for a recipe for a dental office. Check this out. Today we're going to talk about assembling a team that we're going to need to make this project go smoothly. And I want to talk about some members on that team. So most importantly is going to be the doctor. Without you, we don't have a project, but there's some other very important people on that team. First and foremost, I'm always going to suggest you start with a dental specific designer or a consultant, someone that knows your industry, someone that understands and can advise you on all of the different aspects, whether it's site location, whether it's the spatial elements in your operatory, on your equipment. Those are all very important, and you need someone that understands your industry specifically. And just so happens, that's what Dental Office Construction Services does, and we'd love to help you. But otherwise, you need someone dental specific. Now, I get a lot of questions too about an architect as a member of that team. If you're building from the ground up, you don't have a choice. You're going to need an architect. If you're taking over an existing space that was previously a dental office, or maybe you're doing a remodel of just a build out of the inside of a facility, you might have some options, and we can discuss that. But here's the thing I always caution. One of the things an architect brings to the table is they help create a finish schedule that helps communicate to whoever's actually doing the construction exactly how tall the walls are supposed to be, what kind of ceiling's supposed to be in there, what kind of floor coverings, what kind of wall coverings, what kind of windows, any particular nuances. That's what that architect is going to help communicate. And without that person as part of your team, then it's going to ultimately be up to you to help communicate to the person doing the construction. So there's a cost involved, whether you're using an architect, or there's a cost involved in these dirty little words called change orders that can come up in that communication process if a contractor's bidding out that job, and especially if you're going to want to bid that out. But that's going to be another segment when we talk about using general contractors and whether we bid that job out or we do what's called a design build, and we'll get to that in another segment. But that brings us up to another important part of that team, and that's going to be your general contractor, who's actually doing the construction. That general contractor, especially if we're in a design build situation, getting them involved early can be crucial in that design and making design decisions. But they also have great relationships and looking for plumbers, electricians. Plumbers especially crucial to our particular industry. But they'll coordinate with all of your subcontractors as well. Another person that we want to consider as part of that team is going to be an interior designer or a decorator. Some people feel like they have the ability to do that on their own. Some people have a knack for that, and that's great. If not, then yes, let's get someone with some good experience in there to help us. Real estate agents are another person, and I say real estate agent especially if you're looking to make a purchase, but it could also be a lease negotiator. One piece of advice I've always given my doctors over the years is that if you're driving past a location and you see a space and you think, man, that would be perfect, I would love that space, write the number down and don't call it. Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, they see a space on a corner, they don't pick the phone up and call and say, hey, this is Walmart or this is Walgreens, because that price just triples. And guess what? When you call up and say, this is Dr. So-and-so, they all know you're made of money, right? So that price does the same thing to you, and you take away some of your negotiating power. The other thing that this real estate agent, or especially if we're in a lease negotiator situation, if you're looking to rent a space, that person's going to have specific knowledge of the local area and what things can be negotiated as much as just the actual monthly price. And they're going to be familiar with triple net leases versus full term leases. And so they can help you navigate those waters when we get to that point. So definitely a lease negotiator. You're going to need a financing partner. And we need to discuss what kind of financing partners you have. I mean, there's people out there that will lend money for just the equipment. There's people that'll lend money for your construction. There's people that will lend money just for the real estate. You may want to incorporate everything into one loan. You may have a relationship with a local bank that you want to look at doing financing with, but there's also lending institutions that only lend money to dentists. Because you guys are actually a great risk because the failure rate on your loans is so remarkably low. You're going to need an accountant. If you're already practicing, you probably already have one. If not, we definitely want to get one so that they can work with us and advise you on your particular situation and tax implications on things like Section 179 when we start looking at the equipment that you're going to need to outfit this practice. As we get a little bit farther down the road, that's going to be something that's very important. Once we make some decisions up here on equipment in the design process, then we got to figure out who are we going to buy that equipment from, and we'll look at all the different alternatives. But we'll need an equipment supplier. That equipment supplier will also be the one that will help us on the installation of that equipment. So as you can see, it takes a group of people. It's going to take a team of people. Some of these people, we need to get involved early on in the process, and it's never too soon to start your planning. Even if you think you're 2 or 3 years out, I've worked with people for years before we ever actually started construction or even found a space. We just started looking. So I hope this helps. I would love to discuss this with you in more detail.